Hillsborough County has launched its redesigned website, hcfl.gov. The new domain boasts a variety of improvements to searchability, page layout, navigation, and website speed. The revamped website features robust search functions, making it easier for users to find the information they need. Whether searching for essential government services, paying water bills, accessing event information, learning how to acquire a new trash can, or identifying evacuation zones, the enhanced search functionality ensures quick access to relevant content. HCFL.gov's new design features a clean, modern, and intuitive layout. The streamlined design enhances user-friendliness for easy navigation and access to important resources. Navigating the website is now more straightforward than ever. Users can seamlessly move between different sections, departments, and services while interacting with information and resources. Ready to see what all the fuss is about? Head to hcfl.gov and discover your best source for all things Hillsborough County.
Hey, the new house looks great. How are you liking it here?
Well,
You wouldn't expect this in your home.
What?
Why on earth would you do it in ours? Hillsborough County put waste in its place.
According to the National Geographic, ocean plastic is estimated to kill millions of marine animals and seabirds every year. And scientists predict that by 2050, plastic will outweigh the number of fish in the entire ocean. Plastics often break down into smaller and smaller particles, called microplastics, which can be ingested by both animals and people and remain in our environment for hundreds of years or longer. Here are a few helpful tips on how you can help stop the tide on plastic pollution. Tip 1. Bring reusable bags when grocery shopping. Tip 2. Avoid using plastic straws or use reusable straws when having a drink. Tip 3. Drink from a reusable water bottle instead of buying individual bottles. Tip 4. Tell your friends and family about the effects of single-use plastics. You can help reduce the amount of single-use plastics by spreading the word and going green. For more information and to take the pledge, visit reduceyourusetamaBay.org.
Good morning and welcome to the May 7, 2024 Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners Land Use Meeting. Would everyone please rise for the pledge and invocation given by our chaplain, Commissioner Cameron Cepeda.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, we come before you today. We thank you for who you are. You are great and mighty, and we thank you. You are awesome and worthy to be praised. And this morning, we pray for all the people of Hillsborough County, the state of Florida, and our nation. We pray that it is well with every one of them, in their spirit, in their soul, and their bodies, that it is well. And we pray for peace throughout our nation. We thank you. And we pray for peace throughout the world. Peace in Jerusalem, peace in Israel, peace in the Middle East, and throughout the world. And we thank you for that right now, and we, in your holy name, and we ask you to bless this meeting in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner Cameron Cepeda. Mr. Grady, you want to review any changes to the agenda?
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Grady, Hillsborough County Development Services. In addition to the withdrawals, continuances, and remands that begin on page 3 of the agenda, we do have 3 other changes to the agenda. The first is on page 6, item B1, rezoning PD 23-0785. Attached were proposed revisions of the conditions which add additional access, design, and timing and phasing of development requirements. So those conditions are being added to the final conditions of approval for item B1, which is on page 6 of the agenda. The second change is on page 11, item E2, PRS 24-0385. Additional party records have been added to the backup. And the final change is on page 16, item F4, major mod application 24-0241. Revisions of the conditions are being proposed to clarify permitted number of units as follows. Basically, changes to 2 conditions for option 3, which deals with the allowance for the residential units as part of this modification to, again, clarify that the project will be permitted 18 units in 9 duplex structures, and again, clarifying that if no density bonuses is provided, they'll be limited to 12 units and 6 duplex structures. Those are the changes to the agenda.
Okay, motion to approve the changes.
Move for approval.
Motion, Commissioner Myers, second Commissioner Owen. Please record your vote and changes to the agenda.
Motion carries 7-0.
And before I entertain a motion for the consent agenda, this time I need to open public comment for B7. Does anyone here want to speak to item B7? If not, can we have a motion to approve the consent? Motion, Commissioner Owen, second Commissioner Myers. Please record your vote on the consent agenda.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right, so if anyone here for a B item, your application's been approved. This time, if anyone here is planning on testifying today, would you please stand, raise your right hand so the clerk can swear you in?
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
All right, now we're on the public hearing portion of the agenda. Mr. Grady, want to introduce the first item?
The first item is agenda item E1. It's PRS application 24-0309. This is a request for a minor modification to a 9.26 acre parcel that's located on the west side of Boyett Road. Again, on the west side of Boyett Road, south of Dorman, east of the larger Fishhawk development. This request is basically a cleanup of this remnant parcel that was part of a larger PD that was not included in a prior modification that rezoned the other portions of the PD and new PD. The request would allow for direct access to Boyett Road for the parcel and one single family lot in accordance with the provisions of the RP2 future land use category that provides for non-village development to 1 unit per 5 acres. Staff is recommending approval and are available for any questions. Thank you.
All right, is the applicant here? Morning.
Sorry? Oh, thank you. Good morning. Isabel Albert with HAF, representing the applicant, 1000 North Ashley Drive. This is a pretty simple request. I have a presentation if you want. If not, if you have any questions, I'm here.
All right,
Thank you.
Is anyone here in support of the application? Anyone in opposition? All right, can we have a motion? Motion to approve, Commissioner Kemp, second Commissioner Cohen. Please record your vote on E1.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right, E2.
Next item, agenda item E2, PRS application 24-0385. This is a request for a minor modification to a 31.6 acre parcel that's located in the development that's south of 674 east of US 301. The purpose of the request is to modify the maximum building height for permitted multifamily uses from 35 feet to 49.5 feet. Staff is recommending approval based on the site layout, which provides for existing retention ponds and wetlands that provide setbacks and separation from the majority of the single-family lots in the area, and also a provision of requirement of additional setbacks for structure height over 20 feet. So based on that, staff has recommended approval, and we're available for any questions. Thank you.
All right, is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning, Cammie Corbett with the law firm of Hill, Warren, Henderson this morning, 101 East Kennedy Boulevard, Suite 2700, Tampa, Florida. There's a lot of community interest in this application, so I'm going to take a brief moment to kind of give you some context to this. The overall development is the South Shore Bay community, and it is actually two different PDs that are combined, and they are for a total of 2,924 units on 679.9 acres. And they've both been approved for quite some time, dating back almost 20 years now. The modification to the PD this morning is to the PD that is approved for 840 units. And it is approved for 840 units, and we are not asking for any more units. We are simply asking for an increase in height. And we did ask for 49.5 as a part of our original request to give ourselves the maximum flexibility. But after hearing some of the concerns of the residents and looking at what's already approved, we are voluntarily agreeing to reduce that request to 45 feet. So just an increase in 10 feet to go from 35 feet to 10 feet. And just to give you some context on where the two different PDs are. The northern PD is parcel D, where multifamily is allowed. And parcel F is the southern PD, which is known as Sunshine Village PD. And both of those are currently entitled for single-family townhomes and multifamily as they exist today. They're already entitled for multifamily. That's not at issue this morning. This is the PD that shows parcel F, circled. And then this is parcel D that's being modified. And so you can see they're sort of contiguous to another. And just an aerial. The area that's cleared, this is parcel D, and this is parcel F. This is looking north. This is parcel F. This is parcel D. Just to show you the proximity to where the multifamily area is located within the PD. Again, this is looking south with parcel D being here and parcel F being here. And again, not very many places where we are adjacent to existing single family. This is looking, and when we're talking about adjacent, we're meaning right next to, which is somebody that directly abuts, which these folks along here and some folks along here do have two-story homes currently, and we are in proximity to them. But as Mr. Grady mentioned, we have to increase our setbacks by those properties 2 feet for every 1 foot in height over 20 feet. And this is an exhibit that shows how the buffers will increase in that area. Specifically, we go to 70 feet here, and you can see that the development footprint is very limited as a result in that area. And we have agreed to those conditions, and that is what is before you, other than reducing the request from 49.5 feet to 45 feet. We are, again, not increasing density with this application. There have been a lot of questions about the traffic light at 674. I did want to provide a photo from last week that shows the signal is there, and we are happy to say we think that it's being energized today and should be operational. Other than that, we just wanted to clarify that this is a request simply to increase the building height from up to 10 feet. And so with that, we'd respectfully request your approval and here to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. This time, any proponent testimony? Anyone here in support of the application? All right, opponent testimony?
Yep.
You have a total of 15 minutes. Please come forward. Whoever wants to speak first.
Well,
I have, Mr.
am I
Chair,
live or what?
5 people virtually.
Okay, thank you.
I'm ready if no one else is.
Come forward, someone.
All right. Am I live?
Yes, sir.
Desmond?
Well, IT, please mute those online. Thank you.
Good morning. My name's Michael Susik. My address is 16928 Scuba Crest, Wimauma, Florida. I've been a homeowner in South Shore Bay since February 2021. I've submitted my comments to you in advance, as well as the exhibits. I rise an objection to PRS 240385. I, like many in the community, became aware of Metro's intent to develop and sell the area around the lagoon for construction of multifamily apartments as a result of PRS 240385. Exhibit 1, MM171296, is the approval of Metro's development plan submitted October 4th, 2016. Paragraphs 1 through 6 establish the number and types of permissible dwelling units within the relevant area of South Shore Bay, a maximum of 450 optional multifamily townhomes, 490 single-family units, as well as the guidelines for all buildings, including the 35-foot maximum building heights and setbacks. Exhibit 2 is Metro's South Shore Bay community map and press release featured in the Osprey Observer dated September 1st, 2017. Exhibit 3 is a copy of the South Shore Bay neighborhood map from Metro's residential design guidelines dated July 18th. The two maps that are found in exhibits 2 and 3 are nearly identical and include a future multifamily site at the northwest perimeter, top left, outside the gated sections of the community, as well as apparent building sites surrounding the lagoon. Exhibits 4A and 4B are copies of Metro's master plans dated December 8th, 2020 and January 21st, 2022, furnished to prospective homebuyers by the developer agents. Exhibits 4A and 4B include identical alterations compared with exhibits 2 and 3. The future multifamily site outside the gated community was deleted, as well the apparent housing development surrounding the lagoon. These significant alterations conceal the multifamily construction from prospective home buyers. Subsequent to neighborhood opposition on April 4th, Metro emailed homeowners regarding PRS 240385. Exhibit 5 is the email when the key relevant takeaways are the 2017 multifamily approval, no traffic studies needed, disparity of north and south building heights, the height change will not increase density, and the height increase was to ensure a consistent look and feel throughout the community, as well as future homeowners' fees. Exhibit 1, the 2017 approval does permit optional multifamily units, as well as limits the building heights to 35 feet site-wide. There may be a southern parcel contiguous with the northern South Shore Bay parcel in question here today. However, its zoning was part of the Vista Palms plan, development plan, PRS 120485. Exhibit 6 is a 17 building apartment site listed by Metro through Eisenbaugh Land Company. Exhibit 7 is MM210417. At page 7 shows the separate parcels, which I believe they also showed here. It shows the separate parcels and planned development boundaries, which I've highlighted on Exhibit 6. 13 of the 17 apartments fall within the northern boundaries of South Shore Bay PD. 4 of the apartments within the southern Vista Palms PD. On May 2nd, Metro confirmed to me that neither the north and south parcels have been combined, nor have the PDs been combined and merged. Since the southern Vista Palms PD section falls within the South Shore Bay gated community, would utilize South Shore Bay maintained roads, security, and amenities, the Vista Palms parcel should comply with South Shore Bay 35-foot building heights and standards, not vice versa. Metro's claim that adding 14.5 feet, and I heard that they have now revised that, but adding 14.5 feet in building heights will not increase density flies in the face of reason. A 40% taller building will add a minimum of 34% more renters per building. Metro would not be asking for such a request if that was not their intent. Exhibit 8, Metro's SSB apartment marketing information available to developers through Eisenbach sites. 3-story apartments totaling 570 units. An additional floor would increase the apartments units to approximately 750, well above the county's approved optional 450. Additionally, at line 8, buyers are told no CD fees and nominal maintenance fees. These buyers would be the developers. Metro's claim that it simply wants to ensure a consistent look does not require 49.5-foot rezoning. The consistent look was established in 2017 by Metro and the county at 35 feet. An island of 49.5-foot buildings in the middle of a sea of thousands of single-family homes clearly undermines Metro's continuity claim. Metro cannot be permitted to conveniently abandon community standards and chase a market condition, which is what they cited as the reason for this request, that has no place in our community. PRS 240385 stipulates no traffic study is required. A traffic study could not be more warranted, and this is a major modification. Traffic factors are rapidly changing in Waimama as well as South Shore Bay, including public access to the lagoon. Increased heights would increase density. The narrow roads that they would traverse through the single-family areas of our community would become the major access points for this major development. Also, 240385 also states the wetlands provided a natural buffer from the site. If you look at Exhibit 6, the actual wetlands is a very, very small area in the center. And the wetlands would not obstruct this site.
Sir?
Yes.
One moment, I don't want to interrupt you, but I'm not sure how many people want to speak, but we got about 7.5 minutes left for everyone.
I will be done in just a second, sir.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, anyway, D.R. Horton's areas on the north and south side of the site would have a nearly complete unobstructed view of the 49.5-foot apartments, and that they would basically be in their backyards. I think the renderings were very misleading. If you came down, you would see for yourself it's not a great distance. For these reasons, we would request the commissioners affirm the approved construction standards established by South Shore Bay and Metro in 2017 and reject the rezoning application. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
All right, can I go? Someone just tell me yes.
A little over 7 minutes. I know we have a few people virtual as well. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My name is Chuck Brzezinski. I'm at 17169 Scuba Crest. First thing I want to say is I was kind of floored when the attorney said there was going to be 840 units. Not even 1 week ago, they had a so-called town hall meeting with us where they put it literally on the board up there that said there wouldn't be any more than 570 units. How do we go from 570 to not even a week later to 840? They've been lying to everybody since day one, and unfortunately, guess what? They've been lying to you guys as well. like I said, unfortunately, I jumped around here because, like I said, I'm out of time. You know, Mike talked about the traffic study. You know, right now there's about 1,200 homes. So you're talking about 2,400 cars in that area. I'm trying to find my notes here, I apologize. Okay. You got, there it is. So since the study was completed, if there was one, because we've requested it and never got it, the population in the immediate area around the development has increased by more than 50%. Right now, there are approximately 1,200 occupied homes in the immediate area. That's roughly 2,400 cars on a one-way, each-way road. When you factor in the remaining unoccupied/unbuilt homes, which encompasses Medley, the 55 and over, and the soon-to-be-built 190 rental townhomes right across the street from where they want to build these apartments, that's another 500 to 600 cars. Now you build the apartment, which Metro claims will not exceed 570 units. I got that number from them the other day. Even with the below average 1.5 cars per unit, you're still talking about 855 cars. In total, that would mean in such a small area, the total number of cars is approximately 3,700. This doesn't even count the roughly 100 cars a day that come into the property because of the lagoon. Is a traffic light really going to solve the problem? No. You can't even get out on 301, not to mention the traffic that's already on 674 and 301. Well, then, right, then you have the schools that are being built and everything else. I don't know who else wants to talk, so I'm going to make this really, try to make it short again. Here's my question to the board. What would you do if you were in our situation? Would you allow your neighborhood and neighbors to be lied to by a developer, or would you fight back? If someone wanted to build over 570 units, now it's 840, in your backyard, would you just stand by and do nothing? If you don't care or would welcome this, then let's trade houses. You buy mine, I'll buy yours. I'm guessing that you have an apartment complex in your backyard, and there is no way one will ever be built there. I'm asking that you deny any and all variances. Don't be lied to Metro Group like we were. Remember, you're supposed to be looking out for the best interests of the community. The community is flat out telling you this is not in our best interest. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else in person? Anyone else in person that wants to speak? Okay, if not, is there a John Studebaker that's virtual?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Barely.
I'm unmuted. Anyone? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. You have a total of 4 minutes.
All right, great. I'm not going to need that much. Thank you. My name's John Studebaker. Thank you for the opportunity to explain why you should vote no on PRS 240385. Before I begin, I would like to draw your attention to the addendum attached to today's agenda. The first 7 pages are about a separate issue. The remaining 162 pages are my neighbors also urging you to vote no on PRS 240385. You see, when RZ 05210 was passed as RR 05145, it changed 192 square acres of land from agricultural rural to planned development, and the maximum building height was set for 35 feet. Over the next 19 years, we've had a dozen or so modifications, some major, some minor, but one thing that didn't change was the maximum building height of 35 feet. When my neighbors and I sold our homes and moved to Hillsborough County, it was because we had purchased lots in a planned development. Metro is trying to change the middle of our planned development into a compatible with market conditions development. That is not what we paid plot premiums for, and that is not a minor modification. I urge all of you to vote no on 240385. It may be legal, but it sure ain't right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there an Allison Aiello that's
Yes,
virtual?
present. Yes.
Okay, you have 2 minutes and 37 seconds left. Good morning.
Absolutely. Won't even need any of that. Good morning, and thank you. I'd like to echo all of the concerns of my fellow community members that are there present today in person. I'd also like to share that there's a growing number of community members that are coming forward talking about the time that they contracted for their homes. We all received misleading paperwork. We all received maps that alluded to 40 to 60-foot single-family lots, alluded to villas, alluded to townhomes, all purchasable, all ownable by a specific person that could be held liable. What we specifically asked, due to reasons that we lived in an apartment complex before, was if there was going to be apartment homes for rent regarding subsidized housing. Unfortunately, there's a whole bunch of studies done about this. When you have rental homes with transient communities, as opposed to homeowners who are there for the terms of their mortgages or not, they take better care of their properties. What we're specifically concerned about is that at the time of contracting, we were assured time and time again, and the paperwork that we signed reflected what we were told verbally, what we were given in paperwork. And now, all of a sudden, Metro is telling us that our main amenity, which was a huge draw for us to come and contract, is now going to be surrounded by apartment complexes. We alluded to traffic concerns. I wanted to bring to everybody's attention, within the past 2 weeks in the Hidden Creek subdivision, there have been 3 police documented occurrences of cars being parked on the street and being damaged because of traffic that is just driving by. And these are not cars that are passing through. These are cars that actually live in the development that we're talking about. Now you're proposing an extra almost 2,000 cars that are going to potentially be using our streets to enter their homes. I don't know about your insurance, but my car insurance can't take that. So I'd really like for the Board of County Commissioners, thank you so much for hearing us out today. I'd really like for you to consider what the underlying causes and meanings for this application is today, and please deny them. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments. This time, applicant, I have a 5-minute rebuttal.
Cami Corbett again. I want to put this graphic up to show the depiction between the 2 PDs. So the area outlined in red here is the PD that's being modified. That is approved for a total of 840 units. We're not saying we're going to build 840 apartments. We're saying it's already approved.
Folks, just please keep it down.
Yeah, and this sort of bullying, vitriolic opposition is what we heard in our community meeting, where a lot of the comments echoed what this woman just indicated, was that they really don't want our apartments in this location. And there was especially a concern about affordable housing. But the reality about this parcel, it's zoned multifamily. And I think, commissioners, you all know what that means. It can be approved through Live Local. And what height we can get through Live Local is 89.7 feet in height. We're not doing that. We're not trying to do affordable housing here. We are trying to do Class A apartments, which require, generally speaking, at least 45 feet in height to have a nice design that is nice for the community. If you limit us to 35 feet, we still get the same amount of apartment units. We just probably have a worse design. For example, there are apartments that are approved on the north side of 674 in Serrano that are 60 feet in height. So relative to where we're located within the community, we think the request to increase to 45 was reasonable, considering the location of where these properties are within the community. And again, that's the master plan community. This is the concentrated area where multifamily is. And that's what it looks like. And as far as traffic is concerned, Steve Henry, our transportation consultant, is here to answer any questions you might have. But I think you all intuitively know when we're not increasing density, we're not adding units, we're not adding traffic. And yes, to the extent that there is traffic in the area and there are traffic issues that exist regarding schools, that's not relevant to this particular application. Really, all that we're asking you for is to increase the height to 45 feet. That could be for a single-family home, it could be for a townhome, or it could be an apartment. And while they're accusing Metro of lying to them, they disclosed, yes, their current market plan is to develop apartments. And so they were being open and honest with the group, but yet they're being accused of being shady. So they can't win either way. This is a long-standing development. It's a simple request that is really a matter of, is it appropriate in this location to have structures that are 45 feet when they have the increased setbacks that are required by the code? And with that, I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you. Board will go into discussion now. Commissioner Owen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Adam, so, you know, I guess I'd like to clarify for the public, and I want to make sure that, that I have a clear understanding as well. The amount of density, if there is any increase in the height, whether it's 35, 40, 45 feet, they cannot increase any density.
Yes, that is correct. The number of units that are approved in this project are 840 dwelling units with a maximum potential of 450 multifamily units. That will not change whether this application is approved or not. The density increase is not part of this request. It's only the increase in the height of the multifamily structures.
Well, I guess what I'm wondering is if we are increasing the height, if that changes the plans to raise the density that they originally had. Hey, folks, if we could try to keep it down because we're in a board discussion. But that's, I guess, a concern of mine is, you know, folks purchased their properties with certain entitlements that were in place with an understanding that, hey, this building would be 35 feet in height, right? Right. So that's one of the main concerns I have. I mean, obviously everyone knows my position on apartments in these communities. I'm not a fan of them, but the entitlements are already there. I certainly wouldn't want to get in the way of an apartment being more aesthetic and a nicer apartment complex by the raise in height, but I am opposed to anything that would allow for density increase, which would bring more traffic. Do you see my position on it?
Yes.
So I guess, I mean, I guess we wouldn't have a clear understanding of that, right? Because we are only given a range from 500 and change units to 800 and something, correct?
Correct, and the size, so certainly your point is well taken that if you have a larger structure, same size units, you could fit more units in that structure with a greater height. Could they yield the approved numbers under this height? You know, that would be a design exercise. So I would say I don't believe that would say that they could not yield it. You know, there might be market sizes, you know, sizes of apartments that are market driven, but the you know, the question of what can fit inside this three-dimensional box is there's multiple answers to it based on the size of the units.
Yeah, and I you know, I've got this problem. It seems like only in South County where I have, you know, Mirror Bay, where I have apartments coming in at the very end. I've got Waterset, I think, is a really good example as well. But like I said, the tough position I think we're in as a board is just are we approving an increase in density even though there is already an allotment in place? So I guess if the applicant can come back up here and maybe just explain that position on it.
Cami Corbett again. We are not seeking additional density. If you want to say that 45 feet is limited to 450 units as to what's there today, we can accept that. We don't have any intention to convert further than that, if that helps any.
What is the, I mean, you're saying design. Give me an example of what that means.
It's roof pitches, right? So in terms of the way that the outer design of the building is designed, but also ceiling heights, right? People are wanting higher and higher ceiling heights, 10-foot ceilings, 12-foot ceilings, and so you see that commonly in newer apartment design communities. So those are the types of things that we're looking at in terms of that. And again, we could agree to, you know, 4 stories to make sure we're not doing more stories than what would be normally permitted at that height.
Yeah. What about lowering lower than 45 feet?
Well, I think that would be inconsistent with what's approved to the south. What we really want to be able to do is have a cohesive community that has the same look and feel. And we have the RM16 already approved on the southern parcel, and that maximum building height is 45. And so we thought giving up the flexibility to go to 49.5 to 45 was a compromise that would work within what we're trying to accomplish. I mean, you can't really go much lower. I mean, 10 feet is isn't a lot to work with.
Yeah, I guess when you say to the south, you mean a separate community or within the same PUD?
Parcel F right here, which is part of the Sunshine Village PD. And PD line here, you've got parcel F, which is 45 feet here. And then the 35 is here, and that's what we're asking to make uniform, to have 45 on each.
Okay. All right, thank you, Cammie. Yeah, I guess the big thing for me is, I represent this district, and I take a look at a lot of these projects, and the entitlements that are in place when people purchase their homes, I guess, is something that we have to stick to. When we see kind of a change really late in the game, that's where it's a little bit tougher for me, because I believe that people purchased their property with these certain expectations. I think what the applicant is asking for is reasonable. I think that I know this attorney. This attorney does not lie to people. She does a great job, but the problem I have with this change is the timing of it during the process after people have purchased their home and have made it pretty loud and clear to me that this is not what they want. Again, I will also warn you all what they were referenced with Live Local is a very serious thing. It's something that this board does not have any control over whatsoever, which could lead to apartments that are not even close to what they're looking to build. Definitely something for you all to look into, but where I'm at right now with it, I'm inclined not to approve it, but I will sit back and listen to my fellow commissioners. Thank you.
Commissioner Wilson.
We've dealt with this issue over and over again, and it's not the community's fault. It's that land use is extremely complicated, and I'm very worried that many of you, and just so all of you know, at this point, the apartment developers have to have a picture of my face on a dartboard. I'm fundamentally against apartments, just on a micro and macroeconomics philosophical points. I don't agree with them. I would have never approved this, but this is already entitled land, that seemed to not be understood by the speakers. All of the traffic that's going to be there is going to be there. There's absolutely nothing that can prevent that, and that didn't seem to be understood. This was approved, when it says MM17, the 17 means 2017. We deal with some of these that are from 10s, 13s. We have one right now that's 93 is the first two numbers that were in the prefix. So the land is entitled, and it is constitutionally protected by the state of Florida's Constitution. This development will occur. There's nothing that could stop that, and that is not the message that was presented today by the speakers. I want you all to understand that. If it's the same as that, I don't believe in all of the ridiculous storage buildings, but it's that the government isn't here to micromanage which business goes where, or what the local market and economy is justifying. There's so many storage buildings because the market is justifying it, and people are renting storage buildings, much to our dismay. I don't want the storage buildings, but we're not here to say whether or not they will have these units. It said it was deceptive, but in one of the exhibits that were presented, where it accused the developer of not being honest, it directly says in the exhibits from 2017 2017, I believe February, that there are these amount of units already approved. And I want to make sure that you hear that message loud and clear, whether it's 35 feet or 45 feet, they have an approved amount of entitled units, and that is going to happen in this community, and there's nothing legally that can prevent that from happening. Adam, you said one thing that confused me, 35 feet, 45 feet. 35 feet or 45 feet that would dictate the amount of density in units, and that it's a design issue. So would the 35 to 45, in the most layman terms possible, please, would that ultimately increase the amount of units that they can kind of shove in here?
So, Commissioner, I think that the answer, I'll say, depends on how they design the units. If you have the same size number of units and you have an additional floor, you could get, it would be more units that could yield on that footprint. If they have a larger number of buildings, then they could get those units spread further on the site, or smaller size units. So it's possible that greater height lets them get a greater yield number on a given unit size, but it's also possible, I believe, for them to get the number of units that they have approved built with that 35 feet in height. It's just a matter of how they design. So it can happen,
we're just slicing cheese in a different way.
Yes.
But I want the community, and I'm with you. It's just that this was done in 2017. It's approved. I would have never said yes to this, but all that we can do now as your new current board is continue to say no to new apartments in these areas where we don't believe they should have been, which is what we have done, and I believe we'll consistently do. But this building right here, I want you to know, and she knows it, I have told this exact same attorney no on affordable housing units. I will continue to do those things, the things I don't believe in, but this is something that they already have in place. So I don't want you to I heard the applause, but I want you to understand that the concerns about the traffic that you have, the impacts, schools, if there's housing, there has to be schools for the children that are in the area. We already have a shortage of schools in that area of the community, so there's a backlog. These are things that have been approved. Much of this was approved in the early 90s, just so you understand. That's something that doesn't get talked about. In the early 90s, there was a huge plan that was put forward, and all of this area was mapped out from that time. The economy slowed down, so the growth came much later than expected, but all of the land at that point, for the most part, was entitled. So it's just an environment that we live in, and I will yield, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Kemp.
Thank you. I just have a couple questions. So the applicant did offer to put a condition forward to limit the number of units to 450, is that correct? Yes. So we could put that condition in there.
Sorry. The commissioners, the current conditions limit multifamily to 450. I think what she was, I think she was committing to, they wouldn't basically come back and try to ask for more units. That's how I understood the condition, her proposal.
Can we hear?
Tammy Corbett. I think what I was saying was that when Mr. Gormley was saying we could switch that 450 and maybe convert some of the other units to multifamily, or possibly we are willing to commit to the 450 units. And if it makes the board more comfortable with respect to that issue of are we trying to increase density, we are willing to agree to a 3-story limit at the 45 feet. So that should hopefully maybe take away some of that angst about what happens if we add that additional story. We're able to do 3 stories at 35 feet. It's not the best design. It's not the most aesthetically pleasing design, but we can do it. And we had a preliminary plan in process for that maximum number of units. So if that would make the board more comfortable that we say we're going to do 45 feet with, to allow us that architectural flexibility, but limit it to 3 stories, we're willing to agree to that.
Okay.
And the 450.
And the other I wanted to ask Mr. Mr. Gormley. So what about Live Local? Just to please let us know, is that part of this, and what would that mean?
So, Commissioner, we've not had a Live Local discussion with the applicant, but my answer would be if this area is zoned for multifamily, it's zoned for residential only. In my opinion, it does not qualify for Live Local based on that residential zoning on there. It doesn't, in my opinion, it's clearly not zoned for commercial or industrial, and I believe it is not a mixed-use zoning in this area here. So my position would be it does not qualify under Live Local.
Okay, so that's good information to clarify. Just for the record, we've had discussion here about how this was done in the 1990s. There's many different land use decisions that were made in the 90s and the 2000s and the 2010s that were not made here, that were entitlements were given at that time. And I would just like you all to be aware that right now, just outside of what's called the urban service line in your community, on the table right now for discussion are 6,000 additional single-family homes right outside of 674 is one of the areas right along there. And I think that you all should be aware of that. I voted no to go further on that. I think it's really extreme. There's also another 2,000 to the south and 2,000 to the north. But I just like you to know that that's coming up, because as soon as those entitlements are approved by this board, I may not be here, but that is the beginning step. And then after that, that's when you can, when they bring them in and build them, you know, you have this rezoning, but the entitlements are already there. And that will be happening, you know, near your community. So if there are traffic issues now, there will be many more with that to come. So I'd like you to just understand that as you're here now.
Commissioner Cohen.
So I want to bring us back to the question in front of us, and as I've listened to everybody's discussion, I'm starting to think that the only thing that's actually at issue here is the ceiling heights of the apartments. Is that ultimately the only thing that we're talking about? Well, I wasn't asking. I'm asking Mr. Gormley.
So yeah. So Commissioner, with a reduction to 45 feet and 3 stories, I believe yes. Could they fit 3 stories in 35 feet? I believe they could. There would be a smaller ceiling size. Oh, my apologies. Yeah, I believe that they could fit 3 stories within that 35 feet. So the extra height.
The issue here is the extra height of the individual apartments if they stick to the same size.
If they stick to the same size. Yeah.
You know, so where I was going with this is this. Look, I've read the emails and I understand the opposition, and I think that the board is justified to vote no if we take the position that people relied on a 35-foot building in their backyard. They don't want to see a 45-foot building in their backyard. I think that's a very simple and clean way to vote against this. But I am concerned, as I think some of the other board members are, that in doing this, we may cut off our nose to spite our face, that we might actually end up just making this a less attractive project in the backyard, and that's unfortunate. And I, you know, what I'm struggling with is you know, that ultimately I don't think the neighborhood is going to get what they want out of this. I think that the real concerns that were raised here today we're not going to actually accomplish anything with a no vote. And I'm trying to be honest. I think we can vote no on it. I think that's not the problem. But I think the major concerns that have been raised, the traffic, those things are not really relevant to this particular discussion.
All right, Commissioner Cameron Cepeda, then Commissioner Myers, and then we need to vote. Commissioner Cameron Cepeda.
Yes, so my concerns, one of the first concerns I had was that the people in the town hall meeting were being told a completely different number of units. So that was really concerning to me. And of course, with traffic issues, but really because of the possibility of increasing the number of units is really concerning. So therefore, for me, I cannot support it.
Commissioner Myers.
Thank you. Adam, since this project has been around for quite some time, is this project grandfathered in? I know Cammie showed us two separate ends of this, and Tim, if you can bring your slide back on the north and the south, the distance that separates the two areas. So Adam, what qualifies for this to be grandfathered in, because this has been around for quite some time?
Yeah, so Commissioner, this does have existing rights that 840 units and 450 multifamily are recognized rights that the project has. The development of the site would be pursuant to the conditions of approval. I don't know that there are any inconsistencies that we would need to protect from the current comprehensive plan. I believe it's still within the allowed density range, but these units are approved and can be developed on the site.
Okay. Can you show us that again? The north and the south.
This delineation is right here. And then this is the northern parcel, and this is the southern parcel. The southern parcel is the one that's already approved at 45 feet.
Okay, so then my next question is, you're only asking us for the building height. That's it?
Correct.
Nothing else?
Correct. That is it.
Okay, because everything has already been
Everything has already been approved.
I would not want to see this board sued eventually over something that's already been approved by either us or other commissioners on this same project. And so that's why I'm inclined to support this based on all the evidence that has been presented and what is already on our books already. Thank you so much.
Okay, I heard a lot of legitimate concerns this morning. However, to me, very few, if any, of them seem germane to this discussion we're having here. In fact, I don't know if I heard anyone specifically say that they opposed a 10 feet increase. They had a lot of concerns, most of them legitimate, but I did not specifically hear that. So I'm going to pass the gavel. I'm going to make a motion to approve that with the limit to 450 units and 3 stories.
Okay, got a motion by Commissioner Hagan and a second by Commissioner Myers. Or any more board discussion? Seeing none. Well, no, I'm sorry.
Deputy, if anyone else acts up, please escort them out of the room. Thank you.
We can't do any more discussion with the public. If board discussion means us. So please record your votes.
Motion carried. 4-3. Commissioners Cameron Cepeda, Kemp, and Owen voted no.
All right, thank you. Ms. Grady, next item.
Next item is agenda item E2, PRS application 24-0385. Oh, I'm sorry. Next item is agenda item E3, PRS application 24-.
Deputy, please escort the gentleman out. And if he acts up, please have him arrested. Thank you.
The next item is agenda item E3, PRS application 24-0460. This is a request for a minor modification of 0.65 acre parcel located in the Carewood area north of Fletcher Avenue, east of Orange Grove. Commissioners, this is a request to modify the PD for a single family lot within a PD to allow the single family lot to have lake access to the lake. It would only apply to the single family lot. Staff is recommending approval, but basically this is not dissimilar to other single-family lots along the lake that would be permitted to have boat access. Therefore, staff is recommending approval. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is the applicant here? Please come forward. Good morning.
My name is Farouk Qureshi, and along with my wife, Lisa Brock, I own the
property at 3400 Waterbridge Drive. That's a single-family lot, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have. It's a simple request to have the same lake access that other single-family owners on Lake Ellen enjoy.
All right, thank you, sir. Anyone here in support of the application? Anyone in opposition? Can we have a motion?
Move for approval.
Motion to approve, Commissioner Myers and Commissioner Owen. And Farouk, well, I'll see you at the Y here in the next day or two. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you. Next item.
The next item is agenda item E4. It's PRS application 24-0511. The request is for a minor modification to a 6.7-acre parcel that's located in the Town and Country area south of Hillsborough Avenue. The request is to increase the building height from 35 to 45 feet for a certain percentage of the building. The applicant would combine the two lots into a single lot for one single-family structure on the lot. And again, it would be for only a 15% portion of the building. Staff is recommending approval, and we're available for any questions.
The applicant here. Good morning.
Good morning. Jamie Mayer of the law firm Hillward Henderson, representing the applicant, 101 East Kennedy Boulevard, Suite 3700, and I have been sworn. This is a request for an increase of height from 35 feet to 45 feet, but it is for a single structure that has been approved by the HOA. There are architectural features in about 15% of the total building footprint that reach that height. Again, we have the necessary HOA approvals for the structure, and the total lots that are being combined. It's two of the largest lots in the existing subdivision, and there will be one single-family home on them, and we respectfully request approval. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone in support of the application? Anyone in opposition? Can we have a motion?
Move approval.
Motion, Commissioner Wostel, second Commissioner Owen. Please record your vote on E4.
Motion carried 7-0.
Next item.
Next item is E5, PRS application 24-0512. This is a request for a minor modification to a project that's on the west side of Simmons Loop, south of the Big Bend and the Riverview area. Commissioners, the request is to modify the timing when building permits can be issued in relation to the required road improvement. There's a requirement for the extension of Simmons Loop South, which will be called Gate Dancer Boulevard, that would connect further south into Paso Del Mar Boulevard. Progress is remaining on the construction of the roadway. Therefore, this request is currently, they're not allowed to get building permits until the road's completed. This request would allow building permits to issue, but they could not occupy or get COs for those homes until such time as the road is completed. Staff is recommending approval, and we're available for any questions.
Is the applicant here?
Good morning, Cammie Corbett with the law firm of Hillward and Henderson, representing the applicant, which is Pulte Homes. Really straightforward request here. We are just asking to move that condition to allow us to get some building permits to get some models started, but we are fully committed to constructing the roadway and having it done before we occupy the structures. And we respectfully request your approval.
All right, anyone here in support of the application? Any opponent testimony? Not. Can we have a motion?
Approval.
Motion
Second.
approved, Commissioner Owen, second Commissioner Myers. Please record your vote on E5.
Motion carried 7-0.
E6.
The next item is agenda E6, PRS application 24-0513. Similar to the previous request, this is a request in the same area for the same roadway extension to modify the timing of when to allow building permits to be issued but not allow occupancy in the building until the road extension is permitted. Staff is recommending approval.
Applicant, come forward.
Cammie Corbett again for the record. This one's a little bit further south and does abut the existing Belmont CDD. We did receive a call from their engineer. He asked me to explain what the request was. Once he heard it, he was fine, but it's similar to the last request, and we respectfully request your approval.
Any proponent testimony? Any opponent testimony? Can we have a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion, Commissioner Myers, second Commissioner Owen. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 7-0.
E7.
Next item is agenda item E7, PRS application 24-0515. The request is for a minor modification to a planned development that's located on the south side of Broadway, east of US 301. Commissioners have requested to add access points to the planned development as part of plans to reparcelize and reconfigure the lot layout of the county-owned parcel. Staff is recommending approval and are available for any questions.
Is the applicant here?
Good morning. For the record, Isabel Albert with HAB, 1000 North Ashley Drive. As Mr. Grady stated, this is just to add 2 access points for these 2 parcels. They're county-owned parcels. And I'm here if you have any questions, and I have a presentation if needed.
Thank you. Any proponent testimony? Any opponent testimony?
Move approval.
Motion approved. Commissioner Cohen, second Commissioner Wostel. Please record your vote.
Motion carried, 7-0.
Okay. Final E item.
Next item is agenda items E8, PRS application 24-0516. Similar to the last request, this is a county-owned parcel that is adjacent to the previous agenda item. Similar to that one, it's modifying to add access points as part of reconfiguration of the parcels for these county-owned parcel. Staff is recommending approval and are available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, for the record, Isabel Albert with HAB, 1000 North Ashley Drive. This is just the second portion of the first PRS that you just heard. This is to allow that cross-access between those 2 PDs. I'm here if you have any questions.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone in support of the application? Anyone in opposition?
Move approval.
Motion approved. Commissioner Cohen, second Commissioner Wostel. Please record your vote on E8.
Motion carried, 7-0.
Okay. The F items, Mr. Grady.
The next item is agenda item F1, rezoning, standard rezoning 23-0082. This is a request to rezone a 1.24 acre parcel on the east side of US 41 in Lutz. It's between Lutz Lakefront Road and Sunset Boulevard in Lutz. The request is a rezone from residential single-family conventional 6 to commercial general with restrictions. The restrictions are use restrictions prohibiting fast food with drive-through convenience with or without gas, and no motor vehicle sales. They're also restricting the eastern 156 feet of the parcel to stormwater, open space, and utility infrastructure. Staff is not recommending approval of this. The issue is concerning access to the parcel. Commissioners, you had previously heard this item several months ago, and the issue was DOT was not indicating not supportive of allowing direct access to US 41 for this parcel. That created concerns, compatibility concerns, and operational concerns, given the fact that the only means of access in would be through the north, through 1st Street and 4th Street, which would traverse through an unapproved right-of-way which is bounded by single-family homes. And then there's also operational concerns with the use of adding commercial traffic onto 1st and 4th Avenue, given the existing traffic associated with the school. Therefore, without that certainty of access to 41, staff was not supportive of the request. On remand, I believe the applicant did have further conversations with FDOT, but at this point, FDOT's position has not changed, or we've not received revised comments indicating that they can definitively provide for approval of access to 41, so that still remains our concern. Planning Commission continues to find it inconsistent, and the hearing officer also recommended not support. Staff's available for any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Applicant here. Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Todd Pressman, 202nd Avenue South, number 451 in St. Petersburg. If we could bring up the PowerPoint, please. This is RZ Standard 23-0082 that you have seen in the past. It's located up in the Lutz area. And to remind you, the crux of what was discussed last time was a catch-22 between access of the site going north through wetlands or direct access on 41. And that's the crux of the issue. Staff is on the record from the ZHM report that if access on 41 is permitted, that would change staff recommendation. We have had prolonged communication with FDOT. Staff has walked you through the other restrictions and other issues, as well as the access point through 4th Avenue Southeast, which is not preferred either. So what we come forward with you today is what we think is a reasonable way to proceed, which is strictly a condition that you consider, with respect, approval of this application pending the condition that FDOT approves the 41, US 41 access connection. That seems to make a lot of sense. That on the record, that makes your staff comfortable. It makes the applicant comfortable. As I understand it, communication I had with a couple folks in the area, that would make them comfortable, but I'm not speaking for them. That would address the wetland issue, going through the wetland issue to the north. And again, we have had prolonged discussions with FDOT. We have not entered into formal review with FDOT. That is a very costly process. But we have had indications from FDOT that they are looking at it positively. I can't speak for them, but we had some feedback that they are looking at it positively. So the long and short of this request, beyond the areas restricted and the uses restricted that have been provided along Highway 41, which is the major arterial of 45,000 vehicles per day. In that sense, we ask your consideration review for approval with that additional condition.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Bernstein, do you want to speak? If you would allow Mr. Bernstein, the property owner, to speak, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, I'm Mike Bernstein, 195-737 Deer Lake Road. I also wanted to bring one more thing about the wetlands, more than just a wetland. Right where the exit would be going, there's approximately 6 to 8 foot deep drainage ditch right there, right where the exit would be going over. And if we was to build the road there, and I think that's one of the reasons why Hillsborough County never built the road going back through there, is because of that drainage ditch and the wetland area. No matter what we built there, we would still have to come out on Highway 41. And I just want to bring to your attention the 3 pieces of property that's left there. To the north of us is already CG. To the south of us is already a 7-Eleven gas station going up. No matter what we built there, we would still have to come out on Highway 41. There's no other way that I can see that it could be done. That's all. Thank you.
One other point I do want to raise, Mr. Chairman, we go back to the PowerPoint. Thank you. One of the communications we received back from FDOT is local government review and approval. Your staff refers to that as just the access connection, but that is partly of what we found is an interplay between the two organizations. And as Mr. Bernstein has indicated, which are, at least in this unique situation, which is a little bit of a secondary issue, is that the site immediately to the north is CG, and as it's indicating to you along Highway 41 is a very intensive, obviously very intensive arterial roadway and uses and zoning and future land use category. So with that, we appreciate your attention and consideration. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any proponent testimony? All right. Opponent testimony, I believe we have one individual that's virtual, Mr. Muffley.
Yes.
Good morning, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good morning. Jay Muffley, 102 Fifth Avenue, Southeast Lutz, Florida, 33549. I sit on my front porch. I look 2,200 foot south into this property. Now, we agree with staff findings if you follow the letter of the law. However, knowing this piece of property and how do you get good use out of it? And oh, by the way, if they extend the street, it's got to fill the pond. They've already filled part of the pond for 41. We aren't going to fill wetlands. First Street is not viable. That's just the way it is. I've been reading this thing for a long time, and I agree with staff, it's not compatible. But it's also crazy lot that you need to get good use out of. Thank you. You all have a great day and have a good one.
Thank you, sir. At this time, applicant has a 5-minute rebuttal. If if you need it.
Yes, Mr. Muffley, who was online here, is a very nice gentleman. We've had a lot of discussions, communication. He's actually very good to speak with. I will just add that we've noticed officially 24 persons by required public notice and multiple yellow signs. So we've had a very good, quiet response from the area outside of Mr. Muffley's comments and his concerns for the Great Lutz area. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Planning Commission.
Good morning, Commissioners. David Hay with your Planning Commission staff. The site is in the residential 6 future land use category in the rural area and is within the Lutz Community Plan. The applicant requested a remand at the November 7th, 2023 Board of County Commissioners Land Use Meeting to the March 25th, 2024 Zoning Hearing Master Meeting to reduce the depth of the CG uses and for the Florida Department of Transportation to authorize access onto U.S. Highway 41. The restricted access is supportive of Policy 16.5, but significant compatibility concerns remain with the wide range of CG uses in close proximity to existing single-family development on a site that does not meet commercial locational criteria and is not located within a Lutz Community Plan commercial node. Additionally, a CG zoning district is not a site plan controlled district. Monitoring and enforcing a restriction without a site plan is problematic. Policy 4.1 characterizes the rural area as low-density, large lot residential uses and long-term agricultural uses that can exist without the threat of urban and suburban encroachment. The proposed would directly conflict with this policy as the range of uses would allow for urban encroachment into the eastern residential area. According to Objective 9 and Policy 9.2, all development proposals must meet or exceed all local, state, and federal land development regulations. County Transportation had several objections and recommended denial of the rezoning. County comments state it will not meet minimum spacing standards for a connection to the state roadway, and reasonable and adequate access to the parcel can be made by other means. This also needs further coordination with FDOT. The applicant proposed a condition to consider approval of this application only if FDOT approves the U.S. Highway 41 access connection. At the time of the drafting of the Planning Commission report, the transportation concerns were still unresolved. The proposed rezoning does not meet the intent of the neighborhood protection policies, which establish that communities should be protected from incompatible land uses through mechanisms related to locational criteria, limiting commercial development in residential land use categories, and requiring the use of buffer areas between unlike land uses. Goal 7 of the community design component also indicates the need to preserve rural uses as viable residential alternatives to urban and suburban areas. The applicant has provided a list of intended restrictions for the proposed commercial general to the following uses: fast food restaurants with drive-through, convenience store with or without gas sales, and motor vehicle repair type uses. Despite the proposed restrictions, the proposed rezoning would not reflect a development pattern that is consistent with the character of the surrounding area. Proposed site does not meet commercial locational criteria as it is located over 1,300 feet from the nearest qualifying intersection at North Highway US 41 and Sunset Lane. The applicant submitted a CLC waiver for review. Staff reviewed the request and did not identify any unique circumstances that would lend support to a waiver request. Although the subject site is abutting CG zoning, the proposed rezoning would allow for the potential of uses that would encroach into the existing single-family residential neighborhood due to the shape and size of the lot. Therefore, the Planning Commission staff recommends that the board deny the waiver request. The Lutz Community Plan vision desires to retain existing and encourage new commercial uses that are geared towards serving the daily needs of area residents that complements the character of the community. The proposed rezoning would directly conflict with the residential character located east. The proposed site sits outside of the desired area for commercial development. The property is not within the 3 existing activity nodes along US Highway 41. Based on those considerations, the Planning Commission staff finds the proposed rezoning inconsistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. Thank you.
Hearing Master.
The zoning hearing master considered the applicant's request for a rezoning to the commercial general restricted zoning district. On November 7th, 2023, at the Board of County Commissioners land use meeting, a motion was made and approved to remand this application to the zoning hearing master, prompted by a discussion and question posed as to whether there is merit in remanding to provide the applicant an opportunity to meet with the Florida Department of Transportation, FDOT, to confirm that FDOT would consider approving access to US 41 for the property. The applicant at the ZHM hearing on March 25th testified that the applicant team had communicated with FDOT. They showed FDOT State Highway Access Connection Completeness Review Form at the hearing and testified that FDOT requested local government review/approval. The applicant's representative testified that phrase meant that FDOT wanted county rezoning approval prior to commenting on whether they would grant access to US 41. FDOT had submitted a list of data and analysis needed for them to determine if the access connection to 41 could be supported. The applicant had not submitted the requested data and analysis to FDOT. In response to the hearing master's question at the hearing as to why the applicant had not furnished the information, the applicant responded that the list of requested items was long and costly. County Transportation Review staff rebutted the applicant's representative's assertion that FDOT requires county rezoning approval prior to reviewing access requests. FDOT does not need local government approval to provide comments to the applicant regarding conceptual access, but the FDOT team does need applicant's analysis before they can comment on the potential for access to 41. The zoning hearing master found that the FDOT requested data and analysis had not been submitted by the applicant, and therefore FDOT could not review and comment on the conceptual access to US 41 for the property. So concluded that at the close of the ZHM hearing that issue still stood and posed a problem. So the zoning hearing master concluded that the proposed rezoning is not consistent with the code or the comprehensive plan, as the access issue was not resolved, thereby potentially resulting in the commercial project impacting a wetland and adjacent property. The zoning hearing master concluded that the request was not consistent with the plan and the code and recommended denial.
Thank you, Commissioner Owen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This isn't my district, but I guess I just have a question, because when I looked at the remand, I was thinking, okay, well, the applicant didn't follow through with what we asked them to do, but I guess I can listen to the applicant and understand the position if they're wanting to put a restriction. So I guess, Adam, is that the biggest issue Development Services has with this application? I know planning mentioned encroachment, neighborhood protection, design, and CLC issues, but if they had an approval from FDOT, is that a hard position to put you in, but where would you be if they had an approval?
If they had a guarantee or access to 41, we would be supportive of the application. We believe that the restrictions that the applicant has placed and the location of the property, we believe that what he's asking for is compatible.
Okay.
It is the access issue is what generated our non-support for the application.
Okay, very good. Yeah, that's what I wanted to check, because if there were other issues you all had in Development Services with the application, and they're willing to go subject to FDOT's approval, which I still think sounds like a pretty big lift. But I'll sit back. It's not my district. Listen.
Thank you, Commissioner Myers.
Yes, and I'm on this kind of same line with Commissioner Owen. Wonder if we can continue this so that the applicant can have a conversation, additional conversations with FDOT for this project, because that appears to be the holdup. And I don't want to see us approving something and FDOT thinking, okay, the board is on board, because we're saying yes to move forward. And I'm saying, hey, applicant, go back and continue your conversation with FDOT. Mr. Preston, can you continue? Can you come to the, there, okay. Is that possible? I know they were saying that was a data analysis is still needed by the applicant.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question, please?
The data analysis is still needed. Are you still in conversation with FDOT on what they need?
Not the exact moment, but those communications are still open.
Okay, so if we consider granting an additional 60 days, could this bring closure to your project and having a conversation with FDOT?
We're happy to move forward. I'm not trying to discourage you. We're happy to move forward any way that's positive and that the board supports. We've suggested one way. If that's the way you choose to go, 60 days will not be enough because the applicants have to put together very extensive and expensive engineering documents and presentation to FDOT. So those things you can imagine are not 60 days. So I'm going to emphasize we're happy to move forward with the board to be able to work with FDOT. We chose one way, which was to ask for a condition, which lets us move forward without a deadline. But however, I'm going to say for the third time, however this board wants, we do want to move forward. We know we can move forward. The question is in what way is going to be best and for mom and pop business, best way that's affordable, expedites, and is not money just thrown away. The difficulty, Commissioner, if I may, is they're going to have to put out a good sum of funds in order to meet FDOT's requirements, and they're doing that without a high degree of lease surety. So we are looking for one element of surety from the commission on the condition.
Adam, let me ask you a quick question. I don't want to cut Commissioner Myers off, but does staff have an issue or a problem with us approving this with the additional condition that the applicant is requesting?
We don't have a concern with that, and I understand the restriction that Mr. Pressman is offering up on behalf of the applicant would be the development of the site is limited, shall be limited to having access to US 41 as permitted by the Florida Department of Transportation. And that gives latitude to work with DOT, but also gives us the assurance that overcomes the objection that we had. So we would be comfortable with that type of restriction. I understand that's what Mr. Pressman is offering.
That's correct, and that's officially filed in the record.
Okay, and then I'll go ahead and move for approval to give them that.
With the additional condition? Okay, great. Commissioner Cohen?
Second.
Commissioner Cameron Cepeda?
Yeah, I was just going to say I'm willing to approve it on the, with the approval of FDOT. It's great. That's what I was going to say. Thanks.
All right, great. And I appreciate the applicant coming forward with that additional condition. I wasn't going to be able to support going north, but this seems like a reasonable condition, and I support it. So, okay, we have a motion and a second. Please record your vote.
Motion carried, 7-0.
I do want to thank Mr. Gormley, Mr. Grave, working with us on the Board of County Commissioners as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, the next item is agenda item F2, rezoning PD 23-0778. This is a request to rezone approximately 7.9 acre parcel on West Humphrey Street, north of Waters Avenue, east of Manhattan Avenue. Commissioners, the request is rezoned from RSC 6 to a planned development for 58 townhome units. Staff is recommending approval. As you can see, there's existing multifamily townhome uses within the immediate area of this project. Therefore, it's a mix of single-family and multifamily zonings. Therefore, we found the 58 units compatible with the surrounding development pattern. Planning Commission also found it consistent with the comprehensive plan, and the hearing officer recommended approval. We're available for any questions. Thank you.
Is the applicant here? Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I'm John LaRocca, Murphy LaRocca Consulting Group. I'm a land use planner at 3225 South McDill Avenue. I won't repeat Brian's comments, but this is a 58-unit project, proposed multifamily townhomes west of Del Mabry Highway, north of Waters Avenue. As Brian indicated, the hearing master found the application approvable, or for approval, development services approval with conditions. The applicant agrees with all conditions that are subject to this PD application, and the Planning Commission, you'll hear, is indicating that this is consistent with the plan. We respectfully request your approval, and I'm here to answer questions.
Thank you, sir. Any proponent testimony? Anyone in support? Anyone in opposition? Planning Commission?
Good morning, Commissioners. David Hay again with your Planning Commission staff. The site is located within the residential 12 future land use category. It is located within the urban service area and is not within a community plan. The request complies with Objective 1 of the future land use element, which requires 80% of the total development to be directed into the urban service area. Objective 8 indicates the maximum density intensity for the Res 12 future land use category. Based on the site plan submitted January 31st, 2024, over the 25% of the site is wetlands per FLU policy 13.3. The wetland density credit does apply. 58 dwelling units are being proposed, which is consistent with Objective 8 and Policy 13.3 and the minimum density requirements in Policy 1.2. The residential 12 future land use category is intended for areas that are medium residential in density. The surrounding area is mostly composed of single-family residential, two-family residential, multifamily residential, vacant lands, and public institutional uses. Further south along West Waters Avenue, there are parcels with industrial and light commercial uses. The existing wetland conservation areas totaling 4.1 acres on the northern portion of both parcels will be preserved. Proposed townhome lots are similar to existing lot sizes in the immediate area, further north, east, and west of the site. Proposed development is consistent with FLU policies 1.4, 16.3, 16.8, and 1610, which require density and lot sizes of new residential projects to be compatible with the surrounding uses. Additionally, the applicant will provide a community gathering space that meets the criteria of policy 16.15. The applicant is proposing gated access to the development from West Humphrey Street and is proposing 5-foot external sidewalks. Objective 9, Policy 9.1, and Policy 9.2 require that all development meet or exceed the land development regulations in Hillsborough County. At the time of drafting this report, Planning Commission staff had not received transportation comments. Therefore, staff's finding did not take transportation comments into consideration for the analysis of the request. Revised comments on March 7, 2024 state that the Environmental Protection Commission Wetlands Division has reviewed the proposed rezoning. In the site plan's current configuration, a resubmittal is not necessary. Given that there is separate approval process for wetland impacts with the Environmental Protection Commission, and they do not object, Planning Commission staff finds this request consistent with Objective 13 and associated policies in the FLU, and Objectives 3.5, 3.8, and 3.9, and associated policies in the Environmental and Sustainability section. Based upon those considerations, the Planning Commission staff finds the proposed plan development consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the conditions proposed by the Development Services Department of Hillsborough County. Thank you.
Hearing Master.
The zoning hearing master considered the request to rezone approximately 7.9 acres from RSC 6 to planned development in order to allow the development of a maximum of 58 multifamily dwelling units, townhomes. No PD variations or waivers are being requested. As you've heard, the Planning Commission staff supports the request and found the rezoning to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. The zoning hearing master concluded that approval of the PD zoning with the conditions proposed by the Development Services Department will serve to provide a compatible land use in the area, which is consistent with the code and with the comprehensive plan, and recommended approval.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Move approval.
Get a motion approved. Commissioner Cohen, second Commissioner Myers. No comments. Please record your vote on F2.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right, F3.
Next item is agenda item F3 is rezoning standard 24-0166. The request is to rezone a 11.37 acre, approximate acre parcel located on Keysville Road in East County, south of Plant City. The request is rezoned from agricultural rural, which provides for minimum lot size of 5 acre, to AS1, which provides for minimum lot size of 1 acre. The plan category is Res 1, which permits 1 unit per acre. Based on that and the surrounding development pattern, that includes AS1 zonings immediately adjacent and within the vicinity of the subject property. Staff did find this compatible and is recommending approval. Planning Commission found it consistent with the comprehensive plan, and the hearing officer is also recommending approval. We're available for any questions. Thank you.
Good morning.
I'm Kelly Hopkins at 673 East Keysville Road. This is really like that, all that made me nervous. This is just for a single family to live together on the property that my grandfather left down for us. We want to divide it into 1 acre lots instead of 5 acre lots. It's 11.37 so that my brothers and sisters and parents and I can all live on the same property and like take care of our parents are getting a little older and take care of everybody. That's all it is. Our neighbors are already AS1 and we know that it doesn't like guarantee a number of lots. We'll have it surveyed after this part. But I don't know what else to say, so thank you.
One big happy family. Anyone here in support of the application? Anyone in opposition? Planning Commission?
Good morning, Commissioners. David Hay again, Planning Commission staff. The site is located within the Residential 1 future land use category, the rural area, and is not in a community plan. Per Objective 4, for the rural area, low-density residential usage shall exist without the threat of urban and suburban encroachment. Policy 4.1 allows for densities higher than 1 dwelling unit per 5 acres if they are identified with a higher density land use category on the future land use map. The subject site is located within the Residential 1 future land use category, and the request is consistent. FLU Objective 8 and its policies outline the maximum level of intensity, density, and permitted land uses. The site's future land use designation of Res 1 allows for up to 1 dwelling unit per acre. The requested agricultural single-family zoning to allow for mobile home lots on 1 acre lots is within the allowable maximum density and is consistent with Objective 8 and policies 8.1, 8.2, and 8.3. FLU Objective 9 and policies 9.2 require new development to meet all local, state, and federal requirements. March 8th, 2024, EPC provided revised comments stating that the site's current configuration does not currently require resubmittal. At the time of uploading our report, official comments from zoning and transportation staff were not yet available in optics and were not taken into consideration for this report. Proposed rezoning meets the intent of the neighborhood protection policies of Objective 17. The proposal would not present any adverse impacts to the existing homes to the east or the agricultural uses to the west and south. The requested rezoning would reflect a development pattern that is keeping with the existing development pattern. The community design component provides guidance on rural residential character. Goal 7 seeks to preserve existing rural uses as viable residential alternatives to urban and suburban areas. Policy 7-1.2 encourages a variety of housing product types, which supports the development of mobile homes in rural areas. Based on those considerations, the Planning Commission staff finds proposed rezoning consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. Thank you.
Zoning Hearing Master.
The zoning hearing master considered the applicant's request for a rezoning from the current AR zoning district to the AS1 zoning district. Property is designated residential 1 by the comprehensive plan located within the rural service area. The applicant has testified that the property was left to her family by her grandfather and that she would like to subdivide the property for herself and her siblings. Testimony in opposition was provided at the ZHM hearing, including concerns focused on the possible negative impact of mobile homes on their property values and flooding caused by the increase in density. County staff responded that mobile homes are permitted in the current AR zoning district. County staff also testified that stormwater and drainage conditions will be reviewed during the subdivision process and that the proposed development will not be allowed to negatively impact adjacent parcels. The zoning hearing master concluded that the proposed rezoning to AS1 is compatible with the surrounding area and development pattern, including the parcel immediately adjacent to the east, which is zoned AS1. The request is consistent with the code and the comprehensive plan, and the ZHM recommended approval.
Commissioner Owen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Adam, when I did see the email, I guess, in opposition, but when I look at this from the aerial, very compatible. I mean, there's this is in Keysville, and there's quite a few mobile home parks out there, so based on that, I'll move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion to approve, Commissioner Owen, second Commissioner Wostel. No comments. Please record your vote.
Motion carries 7-0.
F4.
Next item is agenda item F4, major mod application 24-0241. The request is for a major modification of portion of a planned development. The portion will be 3.1 acre parcel. This is located on the north side of Ehrlich Road, east of West Village Drive within the Carewood area. Commissioners, the request is to modify and add a third development option which would provide for residential option to allow for 18 units consisting of attached duplex units. As part of this request, they are requesting affordable housing density bonus to go from 12 units to the 18 units. Affordable housing did review this and did find it compliant with the policies to allow for the density bonus. Based on their surrounding development pattern, staff did find it compatible with the surrounding development pattern. Here, Planning Commission found it consistent with the comprehensive plan, and the hearing officer recommended approval. And we're available for any questions. Thank you.
The applicant here. Good morning, sir.
Spizzato. Excuse me? Okay. Hi. Good morning. My name is Steven Spizzato. I'm a certified planner with Level Up Consulting here in Tampa, representing Habitat for Humanity of Hillsborough County. With me is Ms. Kathy Coyle, who is the Chief Operating Officer with Habitat. And given the presentation you've heard and the completeness of the record, defer to the board whether you want to hear the presentation. Otherwise, we're here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any proponent testimony? Any opponent testimony? Planning Commission?
Good morning again. David Hay, Planning Commission staff. The site is located within the residential 4 future land use category. It is located within this urban service area and is also located within the boundaries of the Greater Carrollwood-Northdale Community Plan. Policy 1.4 requires all new developments to be compatible with the surrounding area. Proposed density of 5.66 dwelling units per gross acre is comparable to the average residential developments to the north and east, which range from 3 to 6 dwelling units per gross acre. The site is on Ehrlich Road, which is an arterial roadway and has a development pattern of higher intensity uses such as office parks and light commercial retail plazas. There is a multifamily development and a higher density single-family development to the southeast of the site, which is comparable to the density being proposed. The proposal meets the intent of Policy 1.4, Objective 12-1, and Policy 12-1.4. Proposed rezoning meets the intent of Objective 16 and Policy 16.1, 16.2, 16.3, 16.7, 16.8, and 16.10. 18 total affordable units are proposed with a 0 lot line and minimum lot size of 1,850 square feet. The proposed density and lot sizes are reflective of the surrounding neighborhoods. The proposal includes adequate setbacks and buffers. The stormwater retention areas proposed serve as a buffer between the fire station and office buildings to the east and west. There is an open space area proposed southeast of the residential buildings. At the time of filing this report, there were no comments in optics from the county's transportation review section. Therefore, that was not taken into consideration during this analysis. The proposal meets the intent of Policy 1.2 relating to minimum density and the affordable housing density bonus under the housing section of the Comprehensive Housing Plan. The applicant has provided the appropriate documentation showing the project approval by the Board of County Commissioners and from the county's housing department, indicating that the proposal meets the intent of housing section Objective 1.3 and policies 1.3.1 and 1.3.2. Also, the proposed density is consistent with the next future land use category of residential 6, although the density bonus does not change the site's underlying designation. The proposed meets the intent of the Greater Carrollwood-Northdale Plan. The proposal is compatible as it relates to mass and scale. The plan seeks to provide sidewalks and adequate pedestrian circulation, and the proposal includes sidewalks within the site and along the site's frontage along Ehrlich Road. The proposal is consistent with the plan, which aims to integrate recreation and open space into new developments. Based upon those considerations, the Planning Commission staff finds the proposed major modification consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, subject to the conditions proposed by the Development Services Department. Thank you.
Thank you. Zoning Hearing Master.
The zoning hearing master considered the major modification request proposing to add a third development option to existing approved PD 85-486. The third option, option 3, would permit 18 two-family dwellings, duplex lots via the affordable housing density bonus. Access to the duplex lots will be via an existing access point to Ehrlich Road. The maximum height will be 35 feet or 2 stories. No waivers or PD variations are being requested. One person spoke in opposition at the ZHM hearing. The citizen stated that he represented the office complex adjacent to the east of the property. Concerns were expressed regarding compatibility as he described the Ehrlich Road area as being commercial. Additionally, he testified that Ehrlich Road is a substandard road and that traffic associated with the proposed 18 duplex units would worsen the traffic conditions in the area. The citizen also testified that there is an existing flooding problem on Ehrlich Road and in the area, and that the units would be built on land higher than the office complex to the east, which could increase flooding to his property. The ZHM noted that the surrounding area consists of a mix of residential, office, commercial, and institutional land uses. Regarding the issue of flooding, the ZHM noted that the applicant will be required to comply with all applicable stormwater regulations, including those from Hillsborough County and the Southwest Florida Water Management District. The applicant's representative testified that the subject property was awarded to Habitat for Humanity for affordable housing by Hillsborough County as it was surplus land. The applicant has signed a land use restriction agreement that ensures that the duplexes will be used for affordable housing for a minimum of 30 years. The zoning hearing master found that the proposed modification for the third development option to permit a maximum of 18 duplex lots is compatible with the existing development pattern. The request brings needed affordable housing to the area and is consistent with the code and with the comprehensive plan, and the ZHM therefore recommended approval.
All right, can we have a motion?
So, second.
Motion, Commissioner Kemp, second, Commissioner Cohen. No comments, please record your vote.
Commissioner Woolstle?
I'm refreshing it. It's not working.
Motion carried 6-1. Commissioner Woolstle voted no.
Okay, last item.
Last item, agenda item F5 is rezoning standard petition 24-0323. The request is to rezone a approximate 3.94 acre parcel that's on the east side of North Valrico Road, north of State Road 60. The request is to rezone from AS1, which permits a minimum lot size of 1 acre, to RSC4, which provides for residential single-family conventional with a minimum lot size of 10,000 square feet. Based on the surrounding zoning and development pattern, staff did find that the RSC4 compatible with the surrounding area. Planning Commission found the proposal consistent with the Res 4 future land use classification, and the hearing officer recommended approval. Staff's available for any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The applicant here? Go ahead, Mr. Pressman.
Thank you, Commissioners. This site is located in the Valrico area. If we could pull up the PowerPoint, please. There we go. Valrico area, as you can see here, looking a little closer, it's located on North Valrico Road. This is as the property appraiser has it, and a little closer as the property appraiser has it. You can see we're surrounded by single-family homes. So the issue is AS1 to RSC4, which would allow for single-family homes. Planning Commission finds consistent. Development Services supports. Transportation Department, no objection, and ZHM supports. Future land use is a C of R4 in the area, and zoning map is a mixture of primarily single-family homes, RSC4, RSC 4.8, RSC 6, and PD to the south. Now, the site prior, which was not this applicant, they inherited this, was an absolute mess and disaster, as you can see. It's been completely cleaned up. There's no zoning or no code enforcement issues whatsoever. They've done a really nice job with it. This is a diagram of the site, as you can see, in regard to North Valrico Road. And these are just a number of photos just to give you an idea of in the different subdivisions nearby, adjacent east, what is existing on the ground level. Very nice single-family home. This is east, 1 street north. So as all the departments have found, compatible, consistent, Transportation Department, again, has no concerns. So we felt it was a very straightforward and positive request. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Is there any proponent testimony? Any opponent? Planning Commission?
Good morning. David Hay, Planning Commission staff. The site is located within the residential 4 future land use category. It's located within the urban service area, and it's not located within a community plan. Policy 1.4 requires all new development to be compatible. The character of each land use category and its potential uses must be evaluated for compliance with the future land use policy, future land use element per policies 8.1, 8.2, and 8.3. The site, as stated previously, is in the residential 4 and allows up to 4 dwelling units per acre. The maximum allowed density on the subject site is a total of 15 dwelling units. According to Objective 9 associated policies, all development proposals must be permitted within the future land use category and meet or exceed all local, state, and federal land development regulations. Proposed rezoning to RSC4 is compatible with the Res 4 future land use category. The applicant is proposing to rezone to that RSC4. Staff found that it's comparable to the surrounding development pattern. Based on those conditions, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed finds the proposed rezoning consistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Hearing master.
The zoning hearing master considered the applicant's request for a rezoning to the RSC4 zoning district. The property is 3.94 acres in size, currently zoned AS1 and designated residential 4 by the comprehensive plan. The parcel is located within the urban service area. Testimony in opposition was provided at the ZHM hearing. The concerns expressed focused on the existing traffic in the area and the possible negative impact of additional single-family homes on the congestion. Testimony was also received regarding an eagle's nest in the area. County Transportation Review staff had no objection to the request. Staff evaluated the maximum number of dwelling units on the property under the RSC4 zoning district to be 15 dwelling units. County staff testified that the county's natural resource section had reviewed the existing eagle's nest and found it to be located within a buffer area. Staff stated that development is permitted within the buffer, but construction is not permitted during nesting. Staff testified that the eagle's nest will be evaluated during subdivision review and must comply with applicable regulations. The ZHM concluded that the proposed rezoning to RSC4 is compatible with the surrounding area and development pattern, consistent with the LDC and with the comprehensive plan, and recommended approval.
All right, what's the pleasure of the board?
Move approval.
The motion approved, Commissioner Owen, second Commissioner Myers. No comments, please record your vote. F5.
Motion carried 6-0.
All right, with that, we're adjourned.